IVM.
Welcome to a very special episode of the Geek Food Podcast with me, Tejas. This week I have Jishnu and Dinkar in the studio setups of their homes.
Ahoy.
Ahoy.
Hey guys, how's it going in this quarantine so far?
Going beautifully. I didn't know our studio setups were ships since we're doing ahoys.
Yeah, I know. But we're just to talk about the quarantine, we're still in it, obviously. And so we felt it was pertinent to do yet another edition of isolation editions of Fruit Picks. Sorry, I messed that up. Should be the other way around, but it's fine. Fruit Picks, isolation edition, part dos. So, what do you guys have for me? I wanted to start with an excellent pick, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I mind, but
I've been playing,
I don't think
I've been playing this amazing board game. It's ingenious. It's basically arranged like a checkerboard, and it's got like maybe about maybe it's like maybe 24 across, and no, maybe more than that. But all you have to do is basically you take there's a little like a cloth bag, and inside it you have like little tiles. And in those, on every tile is printed like a single letter from the English alphabet, and each one has like a score. Each tile has a value.
Okay.
And the goal of the game is to kind of arrange the tiles in a manner so that it forms like words from the English language.
It's almost like you're kind of like trying to Scrabble together the meaning of a word.
No, Scrabble's a shit word for this. Something like
words with friends.
Wordthink. How about that name?
I got it.
Scrounge together English words. Sometimes not even English words. This game literally accepts anything. As long as you get like high ranking, like high valued letters, you put them in together and it makes words. And then you now, and that's just one turn. That's just one players. You can play this game with up to 3 other people, so 4 in total, and basically when you finish your turn, then another person does like the same thing, but has to now intervene with your letters. It's fucking wild.
So what is like a letter that would give me a lot of points?
I'd say
A Z?
a Z, or maybe a Q, but you don't use those. Are shit words. But you can't make anything with those words, with those letters.
If I can get very nice, very funny, but can I get serious for a second? Are you guys Team Z or Team Z?
I'm definitely a Z guy.
I just said Z, but I am Team Z.
Why are you guys Team Z?
I think Z rolls off the tongue better. It's just
what did
faster.
the Queen teach you?
Colonialism.
That don't plunder other countries.
Slavery. That's what
and
you
get away with it.
Yeah. But wait, I do have some beef. I do have some beef with it.
We
I want
her
to
the
air.
Kohinoor and she gave us Z. Each head.
We gave her chicken tikka masala and she gave us driving on the left side of the road.
Z's George Washington.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
But who gave that to George Washington is my question.
Why did they lop off the D?
Isn't that an impressive thing though? Because the Queen tried to give Georgie Z, and Georgie said, "No, it's Z, motherfucker." But nobody else did. Like, the Australians, they were like, "Yeah, we'll take Z." Might.
Yeah, they took Z.
True.
They took might.
I will say this: we are going to be witnessing a great standoff between King George. Well, not King George. Well, George Washington and King. Who is it? I can't remember.
It's King George. Yes, King George.
It's King George as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because Hamilton is they're gonna be finally releasing like a legit version of it on Disney Plus. Very excited.
I have had
no. Back up. Before we digress, I do want to clean up some beef that I have with this Scrabble. I've been playing at least 4 times a week, if not more, with my
I thought this was a game Tejas invented.
I didn't invent it. I just discovered it.
Riddle me this. This matters to me greatly because I'm now on track of consistently making more than 175 points every game. I'm getting pretty good
Nice.
at it.
That's good.
I've crossed 200 multiple times.
Good score in Scrabble. Not bad in bowling.
Yeah, decent in bowling also. Yeah.
My dad loves coming up with words that I don't think should ever be in the thing. That should be in the Scrabble dictionary. However, if you
Like what?
Google, for instance, if you Google is whatever word is blah, 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 a word, Google will almost always autocomplete to in Scrabble. Because I guess there are enough people playing Scrabble these days that it's like, yep, that's probably what you're playing. Or probably what you're asking. What do you think of, speaking as musicians, what do you think of the words do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti?
As in all the words individually or together?
Any of them. The word T-I.
I think those.
T.
I
Does
think
that
they definitely check out. I think
Yeah.
they check out.
Really?
Because so I'll tell you what, you have been playing it analog. I've been playing it digitally like a lot, like in the last 4 weeks. So obviously it's a lot easier. Like my average is like above 200 almost every game. But that's, I mean, I'm accounting for the fact that, you know, it'll automatically tell you whether it's a word or it's not a word. You don't have to do some of the digging of like, you know, checking a Scrabble dictionary and stuff like that. But I do bingo a lot more on digital Scrabble, obviously, because like I made a word called tail fan. Okay. Did not know it was a word, but I had the letters and I anagrammed it and whatever, and it like whatever came up. I was like, cool, let me put tail fan down on the board. And it was a word, and I bingoed. I was like, okay, cool, this is a word. Now in real life, I wouldn't even like bother to check because I wouldn't. Yeah, exactly. Because unless now, obviously now when I play Scrabble, I'm going to be like, no, I want to fucking check. But like on digitally, it's a lot easier to do that. And like all these smaller words like do, re, mi, or like a zi or a is or a qi is another mad one. Especially if you're on a TL like somewhere on the board and there's an I right next to it, then just give up.
I'm talking about words that like the minute like he loves to do this. I mean, genuinely, like literally every second word he puts down is going to be one of these words where we have to check out like on our phone, like, is this a word in Scrabble? And 90% of the time it says it is, which is what really confuses me. But my first question whenever somebody says, hey, does this word count? I say, use it in a sentence. And now the thing is, you can't say do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti without a musical connotation in your sentence.
You can say do, a deer, a female deer.
Exactly. Is he using the individual syllables or the entire sequence?
Well, he's not saying do because the do is the word do. But like say like la, the word la. He's like, yeah, LA. I'm like, you can't say Los Angeles. But like use the word la in a sentence without
a long way to run.
A long way to run.
Without it being in a musical context. Like a word has to exist on its own without the context that it is.
A long way to run. So you could just say, hey, could you go and get that for me, La?
Who is this La person you're talking?
A long way to run.
No, that's how people. Like,
what about the word Zed?
You know, when you beseech someone, say like, come on, La.
Like, hey, get that for me, da.
Yeah, but da is also a thing, just like how la is a thing. Like it's like in like you know, in like if you go to like Thailand or whatever, or in Dubai even. Yeah, people would go like, well, go get that for me, la. Boom, there you go.
Nobody ever said that.
Of course, dude. Have you never heard this?
Get that for me, la.
Yeah, like la is like da.
I've heard.
Yes,
like,
I
people
see.
here say
not
ra,
in
like,
the long way to run context.
No, not in a long way to run.
Oh my god.
Sure.
Like, come on.
La doesn't even mean a long way to run. Like, do is a deer, a female deer. Re is a drop of golden sun.
But that's do with an E. That's do with an E.
Re is R-A-Y.
That's do with an E spelled differently than do in do re mi.
Yes. The entire concept of the song is homophones. Guys.
But la does not mean long way to run anyway.
It falls apart at la. It starts out with a concept, a strong concept.
Once again. Do.
Female deer.
Okay.
Re. Ray of sun. But
me,
by la, it falls apart, and then a note to follow. So
wait, what is fa?
Fa, and that's F-A, not F-A-R.
Fa is a
long way.
Oh, that makes sense then. What is la then?
Wait, do, a deer, a female deer, re, a double golden sun.
That song doesn't give a shit about consonants.
So,
and I'm butthurt about it. It doesn't care about the power of the consonant. It takes consonants for granted.
What the fuck are the final lyrics? We need to figure this out. I need to know this now.
Do, dear, female, dear, do, re, mi, far, a long way to run.
So, a needle pulling thread. La,
again,
a note to follow.
Where's the W?
That's where
la,
la, they're just like, man, la doesn't mean anything. Let's just say a note to follow. So, I think this is what is this a John Mulaney bit? It's someone's bit.
This is definitely what's that guy's name, man? My favorite. The guy who did the Great
Gary
Depression.
Gulman.
Gary Gulman. This is such a Gary Gulman.
I think it's not a Gary Gulman bit.
Yeah, because he did that. Remember the abbreviations of the 50 states?
50 states, yes.
The postal
Okay.
codes.
All right, we've gone on for 10 minutes talking about fucking Scrabble. Let's get over this because I'm butthurt.
Scrabble.
I'm butthurt.
What is Scrabble?
Also, you can't use the word Z. You can't say the word Z in a sentence without talking about the letter Z.
Let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
Hey everybody, welcome to another amazing week on the IVM Podcast Network. If you're not following us on social media, please do. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I'd like to thank our sponsors this week, Paytm Money. While we're still going through lockdown, let me recommend a few quick shows for you to listen to. Check out Uncle Please Sit with Joel and Tushar. Really enjoyed that show. They unpack some of the greater issues that we're facing, and I think you'll enjoy that. Also, do check out The Traveling Professor. That's a fun show that I think you're really going to enjoy as well. Fulia Bazi is a great show. It's a Hindi show about policy and things like that. They had a great episode last week. A close friend of mine from college, Joy Paul, was the guest. They talk about different social networks being used for different things. Very cool show. And lastly, let me tell you about Simplified. Simplified did a live episode last week, and we're making the first part of that available on their feed right now. So do definitely check that out. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. And with that, let's continue with your show.
Hey everybody, we're back with Fruit Picks Isolation Edition. With me, Tejas, Dinkar, and Jishnu. All right, guys, come on, now hit me for reals with your picks. Give me a pick.
Oh, was all this just messing around up till this point?
No.
No, I feel like we hashed out some important issues here.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, for sure.
We've settled on Z.
I have words with my shrink later. Okay, I'm a bit torn on this one. I do want to recommend it because it is feel good, but I can't deny that I had a certain level of cynicism while watching this, just because it's been so long in lockdown now. Josh Gad has a new show. Have you guys seen this?
No.
Josh Gad has a new show. I forget what it's called, but it's on his...
Is it the Bob's Burgers animated show?
No. It's a show that he started just now from home.
Okay.
It's the same. It's like an SGN, like a Zoom-based, thing. It's an interview show. He's only got 2 episodes out, so it's brand new. I've seen one of the 2 of them. It's about half an hour long. The one I saw was the second episode where he got not the entire, but a lot of the people from the Back to the Future cast.
Oh.
And Bob Zemeckis and Bob Gale, the writer, back on. So it's a great half an hour Zoom call with all of them, and it's exactly what you expect. It's a feel good thing to raise money for charity and stuff, so it's for a good cause. And it's great to see everybody back together again, and riffing on what it was like to make the movies and yada yada. And he's a big fan. Like he threw in a lot of deep cut questions, which I appreciated. But I cannot deny that I felt it was a little clinical, a little too clinical for my liking, because now that it's been, 2 months almost, give or take, of lockdown, I appreciate the fact that people are trying whatever they can to keep us entertained and doing these things like that, especially the fact that like celebrities that you wouldn't normally get to see all in the same room, considering how easy it is now to do it, like, yeah, why not? Why wouldn't I do it? Especially if it's helping raise money for a good cause. But there was something about it that mainly just like in the edit and like how fast it was, like it was very by the numbers with regard to the kind of games they were playing and the bits that they were doing. Because, like for the first 10 minutes.
It's like a talk show, I guess.
Yeah, it's like a talk show. But considering by the end of it, you have Michael J. Fox, Leah Remini, Christopher Lloyd, Dinkar, you love this, the creepy blonde lady from The Boys, Mrs. Homelander, whatever her name was.
Oh, right.
The boss. I didn't realize this. She plays in BTTF 2. She plays young Marty's mom.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I had no idea. Yeah, the one with like, I'm so old when she sees herself and faints. Yeah, that's the same lady. Funny enough, she showed up. I was like, "What are you doing?"
In The Boys.
Yeah,
what a shame.
Elizabeth Shue, I think her name is. Anyway, but so the Zoom call is like populated with like 12 odd people.
Oh, it was Elizabeth Shue in The Boys. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so by the end of it, the Zoom call has a dozen odd people because they get Alan Silvestri on board because he did the score. So it's really cool. And Jay Abrams shows up as a guest to be like, "Hey, I want to ask questions too because I love the movies." But then by the end of it, because it's so populated, and like it was just so fast, like just, hey, look, it's Bob Gale, yay, let's applause, yay, it's Alan Silvestri, isn't he amazing? Yes, he is, and I'm so glad to see them. 30 seconds of like, hi, hello, how are you? And then cut to, okay, guys, can you please redo the dialogue from the scene? I love it. And cue the music. And it's, it's cool to see an old Michael J. Fox doing the lines again and all that. But I was just a little, not gonna lie, a little put off by just how, I don't know what the word is even, just like.
I'm gonna watch this.
You should. I recommend it. Please watch it and please tell me that I'm wrong, because I would like to believe that not everybody
is getting conflicted.
I'm conflicted. I am genuinely conflicted because it just felt way too clinical for my liking.
I mean, you'd recommend it because you'd recommend anything Back to the Future, but
I wouldn't know. I mean, like, you can't not feel good
exactly
at the top of it. Like the minute I saw them, I was like, oh my God, this is adorable. But then 15 minutes into a half an hour program, I was starting to get a little jaded by the way it was being treated. Like it. And I don't think it's disingenuous at all. I think like everybody in there was genuinely happy to be there, and it is very cool. And I too was glad to see it. But I think this one-trick pony of what can you do in a Zoom call, being so limited, I understand, we are literally dealing with the exact same circumstances. So like I get that it's incredibly hard to like think out of the box right now and do something different. So basically, by the end of it, I was kind of like, this is bittersweet. I was like, I'm happy to see all your faces, but I kind of wish that it was, I don't know, maybe just more time or done slower with fewer people. I don't know, whatever it was. But hey, either which way, Josh Gad's trying a thing. His first episode, by the way, is with the Goonies. So you get to see Sean Astin and all them folks. Nice. That's a good time. I haven't seen that one yet. But yeah, Josh Gad, new YouTube channel. He's reuniting folks. And
wasn't he also doing a thing where he'd read bedtime stories as Olaf or something?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A few months ago, I think. Was this before?
Yeah, when the shutdown had just started, which that's one of the nicer things, I think. Like Andy Serkis did this brilliant thing where he read all of The Hobbit over like 12 plus hours. That was just incredible. You forget. I mean, you don't forget because he's a legend, but you constantly underestimate how much of a legend he is. So literally the entire thing is him like reading out the book, doing like the voices, like just reading it like the best narrator you never saw.
Where's that?
He's incredible, dude.
Plus, like at the end of like every once in a while, he finishes a section and then he's talking to you, the viewer, going like, how are you guys doing? Are you okay? Are you holding up fine? And I'm like, look at you, man. You're pushing through this. I don't know how you're doing it.
It's on YouTube? Yeah. It's like he's in front of camera?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So it's him just like sitting in a couch with the book in front of him, like a nice fireplace or something behind him. I forget what the backdrop was, but yeah, just reading the book to camera. Oh. Like a continuous live stream. I'm guessing it's still up on YouTube, so that's definitely worth checking out.
Well, yeah.
Have you guys been seeing this Harry Potter at home stuff?
No, I'm aware of it. I haven't seen it yet. Have you?
So they've I think they've set up a separate site for it as well. So it's called Harry Potter at Home. And it features...
Oh, yeah. I think
Radcliffe read just the first chapter?
Sorry?
Radcliffe read the first chapter?
Daniel Radcliffe read the first chapter. I think they've got like a different person doing every chapter, recording from their own home. So I'm guessing like Stephen Fry was one of the people I remember seeing in the promo. What's our boy's name who plays the one with the animals?
It's just like, I have to do this shit again?
Yeah, right.
Oh yeah, true.
Can't you just copy paste
who's the boy in Fantastic Beasts?
Oh, yeah.
Eddie Redmayne.
What's his name?
Redmayne, yeah.
Yes,
right, you got it.
He's done one of the chapters. So basically it's them doing these videos of them reading it. I think they've also put it out on Spotify as a thing. I find
Have
this
they
interesting.
finished the book?
No, not yet. I think they're putting one out every week or so.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool though.
What's interesting though is in the promo, they had to do like basically two versions where someone says, and then they cut to another person, will be reading. Then they cut to another person who says, the first book, and then another person. It's one of those where it cuts between everyone saying the same thing. But they had to do one person saying, Harry Potter and the Philosophers, cut to another person, Harry Potter and the Sorcerers.
Oh, yeah. Man, I would love to hear an American like do these books. Yeah. That would be hilarious. Like a Brad Pitt or something. That would be so funny.
The person who did the American audiobooks of Harry Potter, whose name I forget, Jim something, is also really good.
So how? But doesn't it come off weird as just like
how does an American pronounce Rubeus Hagrid?
The same way,
Rubeus.
like
Rubeus.
and like
Rubeus.
it's a fairly neutral American accent. It's not like it's not got a particularly distinct twang.
It's not Brad Pitt from Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah, exactly. It's not that.
Oh god. All right, interestingly,
wizards, Harry.
If I want to segue from this, the one thing that I started checking out recently was the third of Marvel and Stitcher's podcast together, which is Marvels. Man, that's so good. So it's basically Marvel and Stitcher have done two other shows before this. They've done the Wolverine, 2 seasons of the Wolverine, actually, not 2 shows. And that's really, really good because it's just audio, and it's a really new way to kind of interpret all your favorite Marvel characters. And then there's a really, really good cameos. So first off, if you haven't heard that, the Wolverine Show, which is called The Long Night in the first one, the second season is called The Lost Trail. Amazing. Richard Armitage.
Are these all original stories, or are they just
yeah, they're all original stories that have been adapted very loosely from some arcs, but then they've completely changed
Marvel's,
it. They've done,
that's Wolverine. Marvel's is based on the Marvel's graphic
by
novel series.
Kurt Busiek and Alex Ross. So the Wolverine ones are really, really good. I just started listening to the Marvel thing, and what's really interesting about it now going forward, I don't know if you saw the announcement of the Sandman by Neil Gaiman is now being adapted also into a proper radio drama with an all-star cast, with James McAvoy and all these guys in it. So I think we might just see a lot more audio adaptations because we can get that super high quality now of dramatization in audio because it's still easier to record people audio wise as opposed to video. So I've been listening to Marvel, and it's really funny because it's Marvel and Stitcher present Marvels based on the comic book. Yeah. Marvels. Yeah. So it's really funny that way, but the cast is incredible. It's just they've taken a little bit of some liberties there, but it basically follows the arc from the comic book, which is set in the 60s, and it's all these fantastical powers are being revealed to the public. So the Fantastic Four already exists, Spider-Man already exists, but this is about the aftermath of Galactus coming to Earth and about how Silver Surfer enters the fray and stuff like that, and how they've kind of taken Alex Ross's work, which is arguably the most realistic kind of depictions of superheroes. He's done Kingdom Come, and he has that very photorealistic kind of look, which he does, and converted to audio, and it's insane. So they have to kind of describe exactly what they're seeing, and they've done it in this post after the fact kind of thing, and where he's relating events that have happened in previously. And it's Phil Sheldon, the photographer for the Daily Bugle, and J. Jonah Jameson is there, and Method Man plays Ben Urich, which is amazing. He's great. Everything about this show is so well done. I highly recommend it. I'm halfway through it. It used to be a paid thing on Stitcher, but I waited it out like a real trooper. Now I'm listening to it for free on Google Podcasts. So yeah, I'd recommend that. It's really, really good.
All right, let's take a break and come back with our last set of recommendations.
Beta, did you know 79% of all scientists in NASA are Indian only?
देखो, इंडिया में टैक्स सिर्फ मिडिल क्लास भरती है. Everyone is just enjoying free यार.
आजकल के youngsters are only interested in partying and enjoying. उनको देश की पड़ी ही नहीं है.
बेटा तुम बस शादी कर लो, उसके बाद तो you can enjoy life like anything.
I will tell you what this country needs. This country needs 15 years of dictatorship. That is the only way to become a superpower. See the Chinese, how much they've progressed.
सुनो, तुमने ये WhatsApp forward देखा?
So what's common between all of these statements?
They're all absolutely rubbish.
Fake WhatsApp forwards that spread like wildfire.
And statements that defy any logic.
We are here to debunk them all.
We're your family WhatsApp group's worst nightmare. We're what happens when you read a book.
Basically, we're just a bunch of guys who want to cut through the bullshit of everyone saying this, how it won't be true.
So that the next time someone confidently squeezes out some WhatsApp or Twitter BS, you can look them dead in the eye and go, Uncle, please sit.
So join me, Joel.
And me, Tushar.
Every Mondays for a fresh new episode of Uncle, Please Sit.
Hey everybody, we're back. with some more fruit picks, which means recommendations. All right. Vishnu, tell us.
I got a couple of things. One thing that's a bit of it's maybe 2 weeks old now that I don't think we've talked about yet. Did you guys see the Parks and Rec reunion? Boob?
No.
No, you didn't see it? It was so good. It's on,
I've not finished Parks and Rec, so no, I haven't.
Oh, shit. Oh, no. D, what'd you think? I really liked it. I mean, I
thought it was great. I
thought it was
really
I was so
well
impressed.
done.
Yeah, right?
You know what I really liked about it is the fact that it could have been an episode in Parks' regular run.
Right? Exactly.
It just felt like it was a gimmick, but it's entirely possible that this is the kind of thing they would have done at some point in their regular run as a episode gimmick, like how you'd have a bottle episode where everyone's stuck in the same thing.
Or like the 30 Rocks live episode.
Or like 30 Rocks live episode.
This
is exactly something they would have done back in the day. The story is exactly true to their characters. It works in the canon of the show. It's just really nicely done, while still having that combination of like just being really funny and warm, like that Parks and Rec always
had. Like the perfect amount of like heart that the show always had.
And is it like an episode's length? Like, is it 22 minutes?
It's maybe longer. It's almost half an hour. And what really impressed me was like how quickly they turned it around with the production value that they had. Like, this came out the first week of May, I believe. Lockdowns began worldwide mid-March. So within 6 weeks, they conceptualized the thing, put it down, and got them all to like individually do it remotely. Which I'm sure by the time they started doing it, like now we're at the point 2 months in, like I said earlier about like the Josh Gad thing. Like now we kind of know the lay of the land. People have expectations. The audience themselves kind of expect a certain type of thing to work a certain way. At the time when they did it, it would have been so brand new. So I was just very impressed with how quickly they pulled off something so well.
So tell us something. Does it follow the continuity of the show?
Completely.
Isn't the show over?
The show is over, but the last season of the show skipped ahead in time.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just following that.
I forget the exact year. No, so it's a little, if I had to explain it, the show ended in like 2014 or 2015 or whatever, and the final season took place in 2017 or 2018, something like that.
Yeah.
So the show was 2 years ahead of the present day it was released in.
Oh, so this is set between those two timelines, maybe?
No, it's set after.
It's set after.
But also the show ends with like a flash forward to like 2060 or something thereabouts. Yeah. So this happens there. So there are events that have happened much later in the show that they still managed to incorporate.
Yeah. They've gone full MCU. It's its own thing.
That's awesome, dude.
Honestly, I think they did it better than the MCU. Like a couple of things that really astonished me were there are at least 2 sets of married characters in there, right? Like Aubrey Plaza and Chris Pratt's characters are married, and Rob Lowe and Rashida Jones' characters are married. But they're obviously living in their own houses and shooting from their own houses.
And they pulled it off brilliantly.
They justified it so seamlessly. Yeah. I was like, there's no way this would not have been the case. Yeah.
Wait, so in this episode, are they addressing the fact that there is a thing that's why they're all at home?
So the best part, here's why it works beautifully, is because clearly it was an idea that they had, much like how so many celebrities today are just doing things like this Josh Gad thing I was talking about. It's like, hey, we have the power of the followers that we have. Let's use it for good and let's raise some money for charities. So it's a very noble cause. But in this instance, they managed to retain everything great about the show, narratively speaking, and with character arcs included. And they set it in present day under the exact circumstances which are legitimate. So it's genuinely Leslie Knope campaigning to the world at large, gathering her friends, putting out a phone tree. So in a pre-social media era, like I remember when I was in college, like on the first day of school, we were given a genuine phone tree of random students within our campus to be like, okay, this random person that you've never met, if the worst happens, you will have to call this number. And then he will subsequently call this other number. So that's literally what the plot of this is, which is, hey, It's mid-March or whatever, April 2020. I'm Leslie Knope. I need to call my friends so that they can call their friends, yada, yada. And that just spirals into the whole cast coming back together. And then at the end, it's a genuine PSA of like, hey, if you enjoyed that, please donate to yada, yada.
That's great, man.
Beautiful. It's absolutely great. I was so thrilled by it.
It was not only a very in-character episode for Parks and Rec, in the regular run of the show, this would have been one of the good episodes, like really good ones.
Yeah.
Which is incredible. It featured like small characters that you didn't expect to come back, like Joan Calamezzo and stuff.
Yeah, man.
Just top notch.
Brilliant. So fun.
Nice. All right, Dinks, do you have any final recommendation?
Man, I had like a list of things I wanted to talk about, and then I just like went off of what you guys were picking. So I'll save these for another day. I actually want to close out, since we're talking about Parks and Rec, and Rashida Jones was a cast member. I want to talk about a show, a Beats One radio show hosted by her husband and frontman of Vampire Weekend, Ezra Koenig. It's called Time Crisis with Ezra Koenig, and it's been on for at least like 3 or so years, I want to say. Like they've done over 100 episodes. So back when Beats Radio first started, his was one of the exclusive shows. Like him, Zane Lowe, and a couple of other people had Apple exclusive shows, right?
Right, yeah.
So Ezra's show was supposed to be just him talking about stuff he's interested in, I suppose. And Vampire Weekend is obviously like a band I really like. And the more I listen to the show, I realize like he's very similar to the interests I have. Like they spend a significant amount of Time Crisis talking about the snack food industry. And so like packaged chips and Doritos and whatnot. A lot about marketing and digital marketing.
When's the last time you guys talked about chips?
Who guys? Who are you referring to, Jishnu?
Just you in life, just you in general. Like
are you referring to the chip review?
Will not invoke the name of TCR.
I do not speak the name.
No.
Jeez. So basically Time Crisis has now, I believe, become a sort of free-flowing conversation that hits on a lot of pet topics that Ezra Koenig and his co-host Jake Longstreth, who's an artist and brother of Dave Longstreth from the Dirty Projectors. Plus there is Seinfeld 2000, who runs the modern day Seinfeld Twitter account, is a part of the show. It's just the most bizarre collection of like post-internet sort of topics and subjects. So they kind of do like a free association thing about like, well, this is what we want to talk about. They get fairly into the subject and then they dissect it over weeks. So there are these like long threads that develop that I didn't listen to the show for the longest time, even though I knew I'd be interested in it, because I was like, this is probably too dense for me to get into. But I jumped in like a few weeks ago and it's going perfectly fine. Like you're able to follow along with most of it. Plus, I'm familiar with these people somewhat in general. So yeah, just a very good show. So Rashida Jones was on recently along with Brian Robert Jones, who's one of the touring guitarists for Vampire Weekend, where they did an episode-long dissection of the 20th anniversary of NSYNC's Pop.
Nice.
So that's the kind of stuff they talk about. Song. It's been great. And like Ezra is like pretty upfront with when he talks about music as well. He's just like, okay, well, this is what I think about the song. It kind of sucks or whatever. So very nice.
Nice.
I mean, obviously, he doesn't say that about NSYNC because NSYNC's pretty cool. Cool.
Yeah, NSYNC is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So that's a thing. That's a thing you guys can check out. Where can they listen to it? It's on Apple Music, or is it?
It's
just
on Apple Music. Yes.
Cool. Awesome. All right. Cool. That's a thing. And that's our episode. If we may talk about one last thing, is that Geek Food has a new show coming out soon called Crossover Event. If you guys are interested in new stuff that we have to offer, it's a simple talk show kind of thing with some highly acclaimed guests in our eyes, at least. And it should be premiering sometime this week. So that's something you could check out as well, as along with all the things that Dinkar, Jishnu, and I have spoken about.
On the YouTube.
All right, cool. Yes, it'll be on YouTube. All right, cool. Thanks a lot, you guys. And stay safe and stay healthy. And we'll see you next week, you nerds.
Filter coffee is a fascinating beverage. You need to pick the right beans, blend them in the right proportion, roast them to perfection, and slow brew at the right temperature to get the perfect cup. Which is exactly like great conversations as well. You need to track down the most interesting minds, get them into their zone, and settle down for an unhurried, unscripted chat. And coffee for me is always best enjoyed with friends. I'm Karthik Nagarajan, and do share my table as I meet some of the most interesting people I know and sit them down for a strong cup of coffee and an even stronger conversation. Join me every Wednesday for a freshly brewed episode. This is not frappe. This is the Filter Coffee Podcast.
Sachin Tendulkar, Virat Kohli, Don Bradman, and now Cyrus Brocha. Okay, probably not in the right company. I mean, Don Bradman is Australian. But it's called Cyrus Says, a wonderful show about everything. Find the show on the IVM Podcast app, ivmpodcast.com, or wherever you listen to podcasts.